Chapter 30. And it came to pass, when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire, and had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away, and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and they came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water, and they gave him a piece of a cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou? And whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite. And my master left me, because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, Canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, Swear unto me by God, that thou wilt neither kill me, nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of the great spoil which they had taken out of the land of the Philistines, and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels, and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil, nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drave before those other cattle, and said, This is David's spoil. And David came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Besor. And they went forth to meet David, and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial, of those that went with David, and said, Because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart. Then said David, Ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hand. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. And it was so from that day forward, that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent of the spoil unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, Behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. To them which were in Bethel, and to them which were in South Ramoth, and to them which were in Jatir, and to them that were in Aroer, and to them that which were in Siphmoth, and to them which were in Eshtemoa, and to them which were in Rachel, and to them that were in the cities of the Jerahmeelites, and to them that were in the cities of the Kenites, and to them that were in Hormah, and to them which were in Korashan, and to them that were in Athak, and to them which were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were wont to haunt. Here we see another reason why David and his men needed to not fight with Achish and the Philistines. The first one, of course, was because they were children of Israel and they did not want to fight against Israel, but as long as they were part of Achish's group, they didn't have a choice about going. And it was only because the Philistine princes did not want to have any Hebrews in their army that they sent David away. The really wonderful thing is, after 3 days of being gone, David and his men got back and found that the Amalekites had attacked the south and Ziklag, their city where they were, and all of their children and all of their wives and all of the spoil of their cities was all taken. The Amalekites didn't kill anything. They just took everything and everybody alive. And so then David gets the priest, Ahimelech, and basically says to him, bring me the ephod, which means basically not to bring it in your hand, but to come back to me authorized fully to talk to the Lord on my behalf. That's what bringing the ephod means. It's not like bringing a handkerchief and we'll pray to the handkerchief. It's basically telling this Levite that he needs to come properly attired, properly fit, to talk to the Lord and find out what the Lord wants in answers to David's questions. And so David, everybody was so angry with David, they were all set to stone him. But David has got hope in the Lord, and so he goes to the Lord and said, what do we do? And the Lord said, chase after them, because I will turn them over to your hands. So David and the 600 head off. They get to this brook called Besor, and 200 of them are so totally wiped out, they have to stay behind. So David and 400 go down, and they find an Egyptian fellow. They bring him to David, and it turns out that this fellow hasn't had food or water for 3 days. He's probably close to dying. They feed him, they give him lots of water. And as long as they promise not to kill him and not to turn him over to his master, he will take David to where these people are camped. And David and his men show up, and they basically are able to recapture all of their children, all of their wives, absolutely everything that the Amalekites took, and absolutely nothing gets lost. And they're able to spoil the Amalekites, take spoil of the Amalekites, and then they turn around and head back towards Ziklag, which they're going to have to rebuild the parts that are all burned. But David and his men send some of the spoil up to Judah, places that says they would like to haunt. And so the people in the area of Judah would know that David was their friend, even though he was living with Achish, that he was really their friend. And that would be important to David. There was lots of times he would need as many friends as he could get.